So the Diablo for patch notes for August 8th, with for 1.11, which will release next week on Tuesday, just dropped. We have the patch notes now, but the patch is not live yet. And let's get into it. So they've made quite a few balance adjustments to the classes. They shared our goals here with us. The Sorcerer, the goal is to improve late game survivability through Paragon improvements mostly, and adjust class mechanics to move away from Kiss Curse effects. The player gains power but loses power somewhere else, so you gotta make a choice. This is a very cool system, I think. It's adding depth and variety to the builds. On the Barbarian class, they want to speed up the flow of combat in the early game by increasing fury generation on basic skills. But this will not really affect the late game, because in the late game you are not using generators really to generate fury. You're using other skills. And add late game excitements by increasing the power of unique items. So they want to increase the power of unique items for Barb. Mention builds that aren't reaching a high power level, and diversifying the use case for legendary items and other effects that are overly situational. Let's get into the Barb changes. So as many of you saw already in the developer talk and in my recent videos as well, they are basically buffing fury generation for generators throughout the board. These are small buffs, but they are being multiplied by all your resource generation bonuses from rings, from your Warcry, from your Wrath of the Berserk, from your Rallying Cry, from all this kind of stuff. So these really help the Barb in the leveling process, where the Barb is definitely one of the weaker classes already. So this is welcome. We're gonna get double swing buff, about 25% increase. This one will put double swing, I think, pretty close to the heavily nerfed Hoda Barb. So I think those two will be equally powerful, maybe. Maybe double swing will even swing ahead a bit. We'll see how that's gonna turn out. But obviously, in comparison to other classes like Druid, Necromancer, or Rogue, double swing, Hoda, and Whirlwind, and even this new Charge or Rupture builds are still not competing. It's just there's still miles between those builds, I think. Especially if you're looking at Vornado, Shred, Bulwark, Twisting Blade Rogue, Bone Spear. Those are the real S tier builds, man. I don't think double swing is even close. Or any of the Barb builds for that matter. But within the Barbarian class, I think we're reaching a pretty decent balance here with double swing being buffed. Then we have some Rupture buff here. Also I said in my previous video, there's some damage increase, but there's also some cooldown nerfs later to Rupture from the Guilds of Crimson. So we'll see how that's going to turn out, but I don't really have high hopes for bleed builds. The Rupture skill just feels I don't know, a bit wasted on the bar, but maybe we'll see. Maybe it's still close to being spammable. But we basically gonna get about 20% less cooldown for Rupture, so we can't really spam it that much, because we're gonna get Rupture cooldown reduction FX replaced with bonus critical strike damage. And yeah, the cooldown, it used to roll up to 20%. And 20% cooldown after the cooldown nerfs is a lot, because on your Helm and Amulet combined, you can only get 20%. So yeah, losing another 20% on Rupture, which is 50% cooldown loss for Rupture, is a big deal. And what this essentially will do is create a legacy version of Fields of Crimsons. Because I think what they said in the developer talk is that you have to find the uniques again, right? So people that already have this unique can play the old version and benefit from the cooldown reduction, while people with the new unique cannot do that. So this is definitely creating legacy items in season. So we'll see how that's going to shake out, but I still believe that the Rupture cooldown was a big plus for the weapon. And now crit damage is decent, especially because you can scale it with the bleed passive that they're also buffing. But I think it's going to result in a net nerf, at least for the weapon. Obviously, we're going to get some damage buffs as well. So maybe that's going to be something.
Subscribe to Rob YouTube. He is a man of honor.
Hell yeah, let's go. But then this here is what I'm really excited about, because they actually included some bug fixes for charge. This is something new in the patch. So we have an enhanced charge. We get double damage. We get double vulnerability. And what they also did is down here. They fixed the issue that we were talking about in the last video, where charge didn't carry all the enemies. So it's gonna do that now. So we'll be able to pixel pull the pull, stun them, and move them like into the wall, and also get about 9 seconds of our cooldown back per charge. And we're also getting a new item for charge, which is we got that item already, the Ancestral Charge, and this one is going to get another 25% damage buff. So we're getting double damage for charge and another 25%. So I'm really looking forward to testing the Charge Bomb now. It might be very, very powerful. We'll see. We have buffs to Violent Upheaval, and here these are all like unchanged from what I've seen. We already talked about this. Some toughness buffs while we're in Berserking, Gushing Wounds. This one is getting a 15% damage buff. The Overpower I don't think matters too much. But we're getting some nice bonuses here. Berserking damage bonuses. It's good to see that they buff some competitors to Unbridled Rage. We'll see. Yeah, then this is like some minor charge, some minor Hoda buffs, some minor Thorns buffs. This is always welcome, nice to see. No surprise there. We have the Leap buffs. I'm not sure if we can still play Perma Leap after the cooldown nerfs. I'll test this probably, but this is very, very nice to see some more damage on the Leap. And then, yeah, Hellhammer and Upheaval. There's not really any surprise changes here. I think this is still way too weak to make Upheaval even close to anything. And then some more minor buffs here. And the Battle Trance is another interesting one, because I'm also looking forward to play Double Swing. Because Battle Trance with Double Swing might look pretty insane. Because on Double Swing, we basically can go crazy attack speed, because whenever we hit a stunned enemy, we gain Fury back. So we spend 25 Fury, and we gain 25 Fury back. And so if we get crazy attack speed, like 45%, on an amulet that now also rolls cooldown reduction, that could be pretty nice. So that would be the Battle Trance here. Increase Frenzy's maximum stacks by 2 while you have Frenzy. Your other skills gain 45% attack speed. So that's a pretty good damage multiplier that we're going to get here. They also addressed, sticking to Barb for a second, they also addressed a lot of these bugs that we talked about, where we would not get our critical strike chance when we would consume from the legendary Malignant Heart in the season, when we would have either bash or drink a potion or game Berserking. Seems like they are adjusting this bug to work properly now. Obviously, it still doesn't address the super hard problems that Barb has with the Ignore Pain one, because it doesn't give damage, but that's a nice change and a good bug fix for sure. And then they are changing something with Berserk Ripping here as well. Because I noticed that it doesn't really like work properly, especially if you're using Rupture. So maybe they are reverting some of those changes. And we'll see, we have to test this, but Bleed Barb is also on my list. So most excited about Charge Barb for Barbarian. And then we're going to play Double Swing, and maybe we're going to test some Bleed Rend Rupture build with the Berserk Ripping changes. That's all going to be next week on the 8th, guys. Let's go through the general changes and then check the other classes. Because this is, I think, they already talked about increasing the density in Nightmare Dungeons and Helltide. And we've seen pictures of this. This is about 50% density increase. This will also increase our XP gain by about 50%. And yeah, that's gonna make the game a lot more fast-paced, and it's also gonna benefit like a lot of Barb builds, especially like Whirlwind Barb, because if you have more density on Whirlwind Barb, you get more Fury, because you get Fury for every like monster that you hit with your enemy, 4 Fury from each elite even, and obviously with the Barber, you're also gonna get a lot more area damage, basically. So you're going to deal more damage to the elites as well. But what they also do, and this is going to be really tough for some of the Barb builds, they increase the boss HP. They increase the boss HPs pretty significantly. So at boss level 100, and we are not sure if this even applies to Lilith, like Lilith might have double the HP as well, but this definitely will apply to Nightmare Dungeons, where the bosses starting at about level, what was it, 48, chat? At level 48, the bosses will have twice the HP. And, you know, Barbarian was really struggling, especially like Whirlwind Barb. If you try to kill a boss on Whirlwind Barb, it's good in AoE, with Barber in particular. But man, if you're trying a single target, you are out of fury, you have no damage, your shouts don't really reset because you only have one enemy that you can hit. So the Bold Chieftain doesn't give you as much cooldown back. And yeah, man, like on a higher end, the boss is gonna have 2.5 times more HP. So I'm not sure how Whirlwind Barb is gonna be able to kill those bosses. It would be really cool to see something for single target for Whirlwind Barb. And again, like the way this is worded here, this may apply, because Lilith is level 100. It may apply to Lilith, or it may not apply to Lilith. But yeah, for the other class, I don't think it matters too much. Bone Spear is going to kill it anyways. And this is like a 1.2 billion 4-player Lilith fight here. And I mean, the Shred Druid's not going to have any issue. Like, he's just blasting her for like 1.4 billion. So, yeah, I think these classes will be fine. But I don't know what Whirlwind Barb's going to do if Lilith has double the HP as well. It's going to be a very long fight, guys. We'll see. But overall, fighting bosses is a bit more challenging now, basically. You're gonna get guaranteed legendaries from treasure goblins. You're gonna get guaranteed legendaries if you kill a boss that's higher than level 35, and you're gonna get guaranteed legendary from the Legion events. On general, they improved. This is a big new change. They improved the barrier bonuses, where it would not work previously with exploit glyph, for example. If you had the exploit, which applies vulnerable, if you're playing Whirlwind Barb, for example, and you play a barrier nightmare dungeon, it wouldn't apply vulnerable on the first hit. Now it does, because it's going to ignore the barrier now, basically. And this also has big effects in PvP. You guys like know in Hoda Barbs or something, like the barrier aspects are pretty good, because barrier basically prevents you from getting vulnerable with exploits. If you're playing like Hoda Barb versus Hoda Barb or something, this affects it a lot. And also the cheat death will properly proc now. But you can basically make the other players vulnerable instantly now and smash them with your Hoda, for example. So yeah, that's gonna be a buff and a nerf at the same time for lots of builds. They significantly reduce the cost for resetting your skills and your Paragon points. Right now, if I'm going into game here on my Summoner Necro, it costs me 40,000 gold to reset, and there's like 220 points. Or I think there's like 200 now. There's a bit more. But it costs 40,000 gold. So it's like about 9 million, and now it's only going to be like 5 million. So you're going to save like 3.5 to 4 million gold per reset. This definitely helps out a lot. They're gonna increase the stack limit for elixirs to 99. That's good. We're gonna get one additional stash tab here that you can buy with gold. I'm not sure like how that's gonna affect the lag in the game and the loading screens, but at least we get some more space. I think we need a lot more, because this stash tab, for me at least, is gonna be filled with the season hearts. So it's gonna feel like non-season, and I already have no space in non-season as well. We'll see. And they will restore the cast time dungeons to 3 seconds again. Anyways, getting a stash tab still helps a lot, man. I need more though, please. We need more stash space. I think like 10 would be a good start. But yeah, we'll see. They fixed the Malignant Heart here from all rest to damage reduction. This is pretty good, because all rest doesn't work properly right now. It doesn't really give you much. So that's really good to see. And then they have the generic changes here. We talked about them. Temerity is gonna get pretty insane. Lots of good stuff. I think some of the other key takeaways. I think on Rogue there weren't really many surprises. This was overall most of what they have already talked about. Maybe the Siphon Strike is gonna be a nice buff to overall characters. I don't think they changed the reset Nightmare Dungeon things. Yeah, Druid's gonna get same treatment. It's gonna get some buffs here, gonna get some lucky hit. On the Sorcerer, there's definitely a new change. Previously, it's on the Mage Lords aspect. They're gonna introduce a new aspect into the game. And I thought this one was insanely powerful before, because this is how it was before. The verse key passive damage reduction is increased by 30% for each closed enemy up to 90%. And this has been changed or adjusted down, like basically with 3 times less efficiency to 9% up to 27. So it's went from like 90%. Again, they said it's not final here. And yeah, I think 90% would have been extremely powerful. So this is good when it's lower. Oh wait, they did fix the reset. Could leave party and dying in the Nightmare Dungeon. Okay, I mean, this has to be meant to be seen. Fix an issue where players could leave the party after dying in the Nightmare Dungeon, re-enter the party and re-enter the dungeon and not have revives come towards the dungeon. Well, that's not really that change. We'll see. Maybe they fixed it, but this doesn't read it. But yeah, we'll see. So the Sorcerer got some changes here to the Verb passive, but yeah. 90% of damage reduction was maybe a bit on the strong side. We'll see how Sorcerer turns out, but there is a lot of buffs to the Sorcerer, especially to the Paragon boards. And then, yeah, the Necro is gonna get some pretty crazy Essence improvements. So the Exposed Flesh will trigger from any skill now. You don't need bone skills. So it's gonna trigger your Corpse Explosion. It has 55% lucky hit. And this is going to trigger your essence generation from your ring. Same for the corpse tendrils. They have like very high lucky hit chance, and this is going to solve like all the resource issues that any necro has, because you just walk automatically near corpse, and then the legendary gem will just trigger it. So you're going to get like all these lucky hit procs on exposed flesh, and you're going to get even more essence than you already had. And if that would not be enough, there's another insane buff here where they more than 5x the essence generation on the aspect of torment. So yeah, Necro is gonna look very, very powerful, and I feel overall the Necro got more buffs than the Barb here. Like, this is like super significant for basically every build. But yeah, we'll see how it's gonna turn out. But I'm looking forward to play some Necro with infinite essence, pretty much. It's gonna be pretty wild. So under Season of the Malignant, they also fixed various powers here. And I think the biggest one out of all of them, and a lot of people requested this, is the Barber Malignant power does not absorb damage from all other players anymore. It only absorbs your damage. This is a really good change, because especially at world bosses and at many other stages of the game, it was just like feeling and grieving players because they were basically dealing no damage, or they felt like they were dealing no damage. They were not getting essence, they were not getting lucky hits. And this, for group play, has been changed now. So that's a really, really good change. It's also, there was a big bug, I think, that mods reported with the Urn of Bargaining, increasing enchant cost for items. That's also been addressed now. So you can like freely assign your points here in the Urn of Bargaining without having to worry about increased reroll costs and stuff. They also fixed issues with Dark Dance here, where it either could... This is the gem that just triggers healing for players. Triggers where your skills cost life instead of resources. So this would like injure the player, and you could actually die with this gem here. So they fixed that. And they also fixed where you would get vulnerable if you were running the exploit gem, for example, on a Barb, and you're hitting yourself, it would make yourself vulnerable.
So, I'm so glad I used my first 4 ashes on salvage materials.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. But that's very nice that this is changed as well. And yeah, just several other bug fixes here with the different hearts. But yeah, the Barber one for sure is a big one. We'll see how that's gonna affect it. In solo, I don't think it's gonna be it's gonna be a big change, because there you're still like accumulating damage for yourself. Oh, is Imperfectly Balanced in the patch? Yes, this one is in as well. Fixed an issue where shields held by Necromancer would cover their face in loading screens. Censored. Fixed an issue where the Necromancer Imperfectly Balanced passive could only have 1 point allocated into it. Okay, they also fixed that finally, man. That's really good, because right now in the game, if I'm deassigning this,
now it's just called balanced.
I can only put 1 point in. And they're changing that, so that's pretty good to see, for sure. Looking forward to that. Good changes overall, I think. But yeah, that's some pretty good overview. Again, the patch is coming out on the 8th, so next week, guys. Stay tuned, we're going to be doing a lot of testing. I'm going to do the Barb stuff first, Charge Barb, Double Swing Barb, probably Red Barb with the Berserk Ripping again. We'll see how that's going to go. August 8th next week. Hope you enjoyed this overview, guys. I'm going to put the link in the description. Take care. If you liked this video, make sure to subscribe, leave a like or a comment. I'm also live on Twitch almost every day, so come and say hi.